Hello, my name is Penny Campriello, and I want to welcome you to Toxic Free Tuesday. This is the show where we try and find safe solutions for toxic problems. As a registered nurse and a lifestyle coach, my passion is to help people improve their health by removing toxins from their everyday lives. So that's what Toxic Free Tuesdays is all about. We introduce people who are local here in the community who are trying to do that. I am really excited about the guests that we have on our show today. We have some really special people. And what we're going to be talking about today is, firstly, we're going to be talking about the sometimes toxic relationship that we have with food. And I have a wonderful guest who's going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about how toxicity can pose a challenge to us when we're trying to lose weight. And then also we're going to talk about some of the safer ways that we can improve our health through hypnotherapy. So first of all, I am really honored to have my first guest. Her name is Michelle Leith. And Michelle Leith is a certified eating psychology coach. And she specializes in helping women to detox in their relationship from food. And I'm sure she'll correct me if I make an error or if I'm wrong. Michelle is the creator of Live and Eat Fearlessly movement, and she teaches people how to partner with their bodies instead of do battle with them. I know for myself, my relationship with food and weight loss started when I was back in my teenage years, and it's been a battle ever since. I know that there's been periods in my life where I've been under stress, where I've experienced weight loss, and then there's other periods in my life where I've been under stress and I've experienced weight gain. But for me, it's a constant battle, and I know that I'm not alone in that. But it is something that just goes on. So aside from the question of what to eat, Michelle also helps people to tune into a deeper understanding of who we are as eaters. So that's what I'm hoping that she's going to cover today. And she's going to help me and a lot of other people in what she has to share. So I want to introduce Michelle Leith.
Thank you, Penny. Great to be
so
here.
Excited that we have you on our show today. I know that you are such an expert in this field, and I know that you did talk for us a couple of years ago to some women, and I was just amazed by the information that you had. So I guess my first question for myself and for everybody who's watching this, what is an eating psychology coach?
I get that all the time. I've been introduced as a food psychologist once before as well, and I said, well, I don't put food on a couch and ask it about its childhood. That's not what this is all about. Eating psychology is a really fascinating emerging field that studies kind of the powerful connection between our thoughts and feelings and our body's ability to digest and metabolize and even take nutrition from whatever we choose to eat. So it really looks at the mind-body connection at a much deeper level around the conversation of eating and nutrition. And what we've discovered through this mind-body nutrition science is that there's a lot of factors in how we're coming to the table that go beyond just what we eat and what we put in our mouths, but that actually impact what our body's able to do with what we put in our mouths. Right. Whether we're eating the healthiest thing on the planet by traditional standards, or whether we're eating something that we might call junk food or something like that. So it's a really interesting field. And then the other aspect of eating psychology as a whole that we look at is what we call dynamic eating psychology. And that is, that's kind of like the deeper questions of who we are as an eater, how our own belief systems and life experiences and deeper lessons relate to our relationship with food. And this is one of the reasons why, so many people know what they should be eating, right? It's like a lot of people that say, first of all, when they find out I'm an eating psychology coach, they'll go, oh no, don't look at my plate, Like really, it's a very judgment-free zone. I really try to teach people how to find their own unique path to nourishment and nutrition that works for them. For some people, that is a highly gluten-free, toxic-free way of eating. And for others, it's not so much. I personally enjoy wine and dark chocolate and a good cheeseburger every now and again. But it's when we don't understand the relationship that we have with food on a deeper level that we continue to make choices over and over again that we're kind of going, wait, why did I do that? Why did I lose all that weight and then gain it back? Or why can't I stick to this healthy plan that I'm trying to, set up for myself? So eating psychology, I really view it as the missing piece of the puzzle when it comes to nutrition, health, fitness, and that overall conversation, especially for women, about, how do we nourish ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, on every level. And so it's helped me profoundly in my own relationship with food in giving me a whole new set of tools to work with beyond just the what should I eat, what shouldn't I eat, and how many calories and how many fat grams and all that stuff. That kind of becomes unnecessary when you get this deeper understanding. So as an eating psychology coach, I work with people to really help make those connections within their own lives, and also to introduce some new tools that can enhance what other efforts they're taking to make healthy food choices, to make healthy eating and lifestyle changes and things like that. So it's a really, really cool and rewarding body of work, and I think it's highly transformative, and I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Right, and it's so much more than just going on a diet. It's totally different. It's really more how we eat and
Absolutely.
why we eat. I know for myself, when I grew up, we were taught that, and we had regular meals. We all sat down at the table, which is very, very different now than people normally eat. But we all sat down at the table in the evening, and it was expected that you finished everything that was on your plate.
Right.
I mean, we were of that mentality, and now the focus is more on you eat until you're full, and it doesn't matter if you leave something on the plate. So
that's a great example of one of the beliefs that usually a lot of my clients come to me with is we have this early patterning, we have conditioning that we've been raised with our families or just through our culture that says waste, it's not good to waste food. And so I'll have a woman who's really struggling to overcome some overeating patterns, and yet her underlying belief is that she's bad if she wastes food, and that that childhood part of us. I remember I had a therapist one time who said to me, "We're every age we've ever been," and I was like, "That's brilliant," because we still have those parts of ourselves that are fearing, oh no, if I kind of violate a rule of the family, what's going to happen to me? Is my family going to be upset with me? And even though our adult rational minds can say, well, that's not true, if that's the underlying patterning and the subconscious belief, then without awareness of that, people will continue to overeat and things like that. So that's I'm glad you brought that up, because that comes up a lot.
Yeah, and then it certainly has influenced a lot of my eating patterns over the years. And one of the ways that I've been able to combat that through certain periods of time is just by putting less on the plate.
Sure. There's ways to once you know that, you can start to work with yourself a little bit on that. Another great one that I've seen is I've had clients who've come from a very large family, and in order to get any food at all, they had to race to get in there and get whatever they could. And so they have this kind of constant lack mentality that says, if I don't get all the food now, there won't be any left for me. And that shows up just on a daily basis. And so we have to do a little bit of repatterning around that to help them, remember in the moment, what, there's more than enough. I can have it again tomorrow. I'm not 5 years old sitting at the table trying to, outpace my older brothers so that there's something left for me.
So as an eating psychology coach, you would not only be helping people who are looking to lose weight, but you may also be helping people who are actually not nourished enough.
Right. Sometimes, we live in a culture that really glorifies thinness, obviously, that really glorifies perfect diet and sticking to a perfect diet. And so there are a lot of women out there who are we call it chronic dieter. They're terrified of gaining weight or not being in control with food, and so they're hyper restricting. And to me, they're all sort of one and the same. Like when I meet people, my journey with food was very different than some of my clients. I was more of the chronic restrictor, and I dealt with eating disorders when I was younger. And then I have clients who have had a lifelong history of being overweight. But the common ground that we all have, especially as women, is that we're on a journey of learning how to nourish ourselves. And we're on a journey of learning how to nourish ourselves from an internally sourced place rather than an external anchor of we're looking to others for permission, right, on what should I eat.
Right.
All the nutritional experts out there and all the diet books and all of the, all the stuff that you see, Dr. Oz and all of that.
Right.
When we're looking outside of ourselves for answers, we don't tend to find answers that last for us very long, right? So,
Right.
you mentioned diets, and it's proven now that diets don't work. 96 to 99% of people who lose weight on a diet gain back more than they lost.
Right.
And yet, do you know how much we spend on dieting and weight loss in the United States every year?
Well, I think I've tried every single one, so I don't want to know.
$70 billion.
Wow.
$70 billion we spend on something that has about a 1% success rate, 99% failure rate.
Right.
So, dieting is not the answer, and we're starting to realize that.
Right.
But where women are left now is with a sort of like, well, then what else? What do I do? I don't know what else to do. And so that's where I come in and try to
Right.
show them some new solutions. Yeah.
But even within that, I see a lot of women and men who suffer from morbid obesity in the healthcare setting who are having bariatric surgery
Yeah.
in order to control their eating habits. Yet I see the same people who've actually had those surgeries. It hasn't affected their psychology about the way
Exactly.
that they were eating, and even though they've had the surgery, they just turn right around and regain all that weight again.
That's exactly
So,
right.
right.
Yeah, that's
So-
exactly right. And that's where the dynamic eating psychology is the
Right.
missing link. It's like that's that missing piece. If we don't, and what I'll tell you is it's fascinating. It doesn't make sense from a logical standpoint, but for someone in that situation, there's a payoff to them being obese or being overweight. There is
Right.
in some way that is rewarding them in their life on a deeper level. It might not, they could look around and go, no, it doesn't. This is terrible. However, on some level, there's a payoff for them. And if they don't understand what that is and then find a way to get whatever that need is met in a new, healthier way, then they will continue to, they're more likely anyway to continue to repeat that pattern because it hasn't
Right.
been replaced with anything better. And that was a good solution for them at the time that they created that condition. And so
Right.
that's the deeper work that, to me, is the most rewarding aspect of what I do. I love teaching people about the mind-body nutrition strategies because it's such low-hanging fruit and it's such great stuff where you're like, wow, I had no idea. And we'll talk about in a moment. I'll give you some of them. But,
Yeah.
I had no idea that I could actually totally enhance my metabolism without changing anything that I eat just by doing like these simple things. And
Right.
so that's really fun, and it gives people a great jumping off point to start to see some changes and some positive shifts. But then getting to that deeper stuff, I find to be really interesting and rewarding, and that's where people get to make really deep and profound life changes, and it's really beautiful.
Right. I
Yeah.
think you're really going to enjoy listening to my next guest after
Great,
this also.
yeah.
So there is a lot of focus on detoxing and cleansing, obviously. I really enjoy the concept of doing a short detox or a short cleanse. It really helps me to feel more energized. But what are some of the hidden toxins that most people are unaware of when it comes to eating?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And so, we are kind of in this time of life, or just where our culture is right now. We're right. There's a lot of information that we didn't have a couple of decades ago about what's going into our food and what's going into our bodies, and
Right.
that there's a lot of attention being drawn, and through the good work that you're doing, to all the sources of toxicity that we are exposed to. And what most people kind of don't think about is that a lot of that toxicity that we experience comes from our habits, not just what we're specifically putting in our
Right.
mouth or in our body. And so what I mean by that is when you look at the way that many people live their lives these days, right? We are rushing through meals, right? We're eating fast because we're all working like super hard, and we're in this very go, go, go culture where you've got to get a lot of stuff done, and women are working and raising families, and we're trying to do it all.
Right.
So we're rushing through meals. We are multitasking our way through meals. You know, we're at the computer. I'm eating my lunch while I'm at the computer, and I'm not paying attention to what I'm eating. And so those are actually, they actually impede your metabolism, and they impede your body's ability to digest and assimilate what you're eating. When you're eating fast and when you're eating without awareness, it's actually one of the ways that people sabotage especially if they're on a weight loss plan or they're on a healthy eating plan.
Right.
It's one of the ways that we sabotage without even realizing it, because if you are eating under those conditions, it's actually creating a physiologic stress response in your body, which tells your body to store weight, to slow down calorie burning capacity, to slow down muscle building. So your body's getting a signal to do the opposite of lose weight and get healthier, right? And so when we're not aware that our habits and how we're coming to the table have some toxicity in them,
Right.
then you're sort of like you're working at odds with yourself. So those are a couple of the big ones. Are how much awareness are you bringing to the meals that you have? Are you Facebooking while you're eating? I had a client who was doing her financials every day while she was eating, and it was totally stressing her out, right? And so
Right.
she's eating in a stress response, which means her body's in digestive shutdown, and her metabolism's going down into the tubes. And then she was, I couldn't understand why she was binge eating all evening. And what's really interesting, I don't know if you know this, but if you don't get sufficient pleasure from a meal, so if your brain doesn't get the message, doesn't register taste, texture, aroma, pleasure, satisfaction from what you're eating, your brain will interpret that as a missed meal. So that communication between your senses and your brain doesn't happen if you're checked out and you're not paying attention, or you're not getting any pleasure because maybe you're eating something that you don't like, or usually it's because we're not paying attention. And so your brain thinks, oh, I didn't eat. So it does the only thing it knows how to do, which is signal hunger.
And so you eat again.
So you feel compelled to eat again, and then you think, oh no, I've got a horrible willpower problem because I can't stop eating. But the survival instinct will override your designs on what you think you should or shouldn't be eating, on any given day. So when we don't have the experience of eating that is fully satisfying, where we're fully present, where we're getting pleasure from the food, that is one of the most common drivers of afternoon and overeating in the afternoon and evening binge eating and things like that. Is that if you look back and say, wow, was I paying any attention at breakfast? Did I rush through my breakfast? What did I do for lunch? I wasn't paying any attention. I was checked out. Often my clients will find that just by switching that, their urges to overeat will evaporate like almost overnight.
Wow.
So-
Okay. So that explains a lot then.
Yeah, so those are some of the what I would call toxic habits that we
Right.
have that we're just not aware of because it's such the norm now. We're eating in the car. We're trying to do a million different things, and the attention and time that we give to meals has sort of evaporated in that. Which is it's interesting. You look at the French culture, right? And the French don't have nearly the rate of obesity and eating disorders that we have.
Right.
And yet they're eating bread and cheese and drinking wine and chocolate and all the things that over here, especially in the States, everyone's very like, oh no, I can't have any of that. That's all going to be fattening or whatever the case may be. But they're eating all of that. However, they're taking long lunches. They're bringing pleasure, and they're having a pleasurable, slow experience of eating. They're not coming to the table with a lot of toxic judgment and fear about what they're eating. And that toxic
Right.
judgment and fear that we have sometimes, especially for women who have been struggling for any length of time, is perhaps the most toxic thing of all that I think I see with the women that I work with and the women that that come to my workshops and things like that is that they're coming to the table with a side order of guilt and a side order of
Right.
of fear and shame, and if you tell yourself over and over that this is if I eat this is fattening, this is going to make me fat, your body and your brain will actually start to create that experience for you. So we need to really look at how we're showing up. Are we awake at the plate? And then also, what's the inner dialogue that's going on while we're eating? And is that supportive or is that actually harmful? Because if it's creating stress and you're viewing food as an enemy, then you're in a fight or flight response, which is, again, a state of stress chemistry, which, as I said earlier, tells your body to basically grind your metabolism down to a halt, tells your body to hang on to weight, to slow down the calorie burning, slow down the muscle building, and so it's not getting you where you want to go.
Absolutely. And just everything that you're saying explains so much to me with my own particular eating habits, because I know that a lot of the times I don't like to cook. So I do eat a lot of snack type foods. I would rather make up a small salad or have a sandwich or something that's just quick and easy to make.
Yeah.
That really isn't that pleasurable. In fact, I shared with my husband that one of the things that I would love to have more than anything else, if it was help with somebody to come in and cook me nice, nutritional, healthy meals. I mean, and I'm serious about that because it's something that I hate to do. I love food. I love to eat. But I really don't want to take that time that it takes to prepare it and then actually sit down and enjoy what I'm eating. So everything that you're saying makes absolute, total sense.
Well, the good news is there are some really simple things that you can do. Like, there's no perfect way to eat. I mean, and that's what I always tell people too. There's no right or wrong. There's no perfect diet for anybody. There's not one perfect diet that would serve everybody anyway. But there are simple adjustments you can make in how you're eating that can help you get more benefit from that. If it's small meals or whatever it is, that's fine. And yet you can work with yourself to get the most benefit that you can from those meals with a few of the things that I'll give you a couple tips before we wrap up. But just the fact that you're aware of that and you're able to just own it and relax around it and just go, okay, well, this is what I'm doing right now and this is how it's working. And if that's not creating a massive problem, then great. You can just find ways to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah, I have found that the times in my life where my weight has actually been the best controlled is when I'm eating very few different kinds, variety of food, and eating pretty boring, actually, without too much variety.
Yeah.
And then I can control my weight pretty well if I'm just eating the foods that I like, but not putting too much variety in.
Right. And would you say that at those times you're more relaxed about eating in general? You're just sort of like, just whatever, just...
I would say for me it actually takes the challenge out of trying to decide what I'm going to eat, and that's always a problem. It's okay, so what do I make here? What do we cook? What's healthy? What isn't healthy?
Right.
If I'm just either doing a cleanse or I'm doing a detox or I'm eating my greens or I'm sticking to a particular pattern, then for me that is it's so much easier. So
yeah. Right, absolutely. Yeah. And ease is kind of the name of the game because, again, anytime we're experiencing ease, we're in more of a parasympathetic nervous system state, which is more of a relaxed state, which is the optimal state of digestion, metabolism, nutritional assimilation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I could sit here and talk to you
all
day.
Me too.
I really could.
Me too.
And I just want to let you know that there will be the recording of this will be posted on my website on Toxic Free Journey, but I want you to tell people how they can get hold of you. Number one, I know we have your name. Your website is on the screen there.
MichelleLeaf.com. Okay. You can also find me at liveandeatfearlessly.com. Either one of those will get you to me, and there's a way to contact me there on the website. And there's also there's actually a free download there that's available where I go into a lot more depth around some of the 5 key areas that can help you detox your relationship with food. So you can pick that up there at MichelleLeaf.com as well.
Wow. And for all of the women who are watching this, Michelle will actually be speaking this year at the Fresno Women's Conference in September. And we are really excited about that. I for sure will be there, and I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me, Penny.
That's great. Thank you so much. And we'll take a short break, and then we'll be back with our next guest. Hello, and welcome to Toxic Free Tuesday. My name is Penny Campriello, and this is the show where we find safe solutions for toxic problems. As a registered nurse and a lifestyle coach, my passion is to help people improve their health by removing those hidden toxins that are often in our lives. Today, our focus has been on food, and we've heard from Michelle Leith about her eating psychology coach and the relationship of food. And some of the latest research that is going on in the world of what they called epigenetics and suggests that a lot of our problems to do with obesity and diabetes are actually remnants of what was happening in our grandparents' era back in the 1950s. So because of exposure to environmental toxins back then, there's a lot of work being done in the world of research right now that shows that changes to the cells back then actually are inherited, and it's not actually a direct genetic problem, but it is actually causing us to have predispositions to obesity and diabetes. And that is a huge thing for me, because one of my biggest concerns is for moms-to-be, pregnant moms, fetal development during pregnancy and exposure to toxins, and that's that narrow window of time when exposure to toxins is the most dangerous. So that's kind of getting off our subject just a little bit, but not. Because my next guest has an amazing story, and to me, he epitomizes the way, there's good news and bad news. You can have a predisposition to obesity, you can have a predisposition to diabetes, but we all have the capacity to be able to combat that by taking certain steps, whether it be eating the right foods, exercising on a regular basis, and they say just by walking 5 times a week, we can half our chances of getting diabetes. So when I first met my next guest, Lorenzo Reyes, I was blown away by his story. And I knew that when we came to this segment of the show that I really wanted him to be on here. And so I am really happy to introduce Lorenzo today, who has an amazing story, and he's going to tell us all about that. So Lorenzo, just share with everybody your story a little bit and how you ended up being a personal trainer. That's where I want you to start.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know it was going to get so deep. Well, I was fighting obesity in my life all the way up to my late 30s. I grew up heavy. I lost some weight during teenage years, but then gained it back, and then increased more with the weight. I got over 300 pounds, which was quite a load to carry around. It was like having an extra person, and I didn't realize it until it was over, until I had gotten rid of that extra person, and then lightened up, that I realized, how bad my life was struggling as far as energy and, trying to keep up and alertness of my mind and things of that nature. And a lot of it had to do with eating and whatnot. But anyway, so what happened was, with all this weight, I finally got tired and sick and tired and then tired of going through all of that. And I made slow changes, and I started with stairs, and increased to running a track, and all of this took months and months in small increments and just determination. Got it done, went out there every day, didn't like it, but it had to get done, and it's not fun, it's not super exciting, but the results are.
Right.
But the results are the energy level, the alertness, and things of that nature, cleansing the body, and purifying it, because after years of dieting, the lifestyle, I tried to go back to that lifestyle, and I had myself a double Western bacon cheeseburger, which I could have had 2-3 times a day, a few days a week, right?
Oh, yeah, it sounds great to me.
Yeah, it sounded great to me. It was a very bad next 3 days, because my body wasn't able to process all the oils and all the things that were going in me. So I knew right then and there was a cause and effect.
Right.
So I stopped going back to those deep fried things, and I felt more alert, more erect, and able to do a lot more focusing, and more things started to accumulate in a day.
Right. So this was over a period of time. So from realizing that you needed to do something at over 300 pounds, what would you say, how long did it take you to be able to reduce that down to really where you started to feel comfortable in yourself?
All in stages. Little over 300 pounds. I remember going down to, it was 265. I remember 265, and I remember getting down to 236, and then I got stuck at 216. I remember getting to 199, which was a really big day. I remember that day distinctively.
Right.
But anyway, so it was just, losing the weight and taking it day by day, just
Right.
getting in there.
It's amazing to me that you remember so specifically those certain weights. They must have been like keystones for you in your weight loss journey.
Sure. When I went from a 48 pants down to a 42 pants, I felt like the skinniest man on earth.
Yeah.
It was great. It was
Wow.
huge. But there was still more work to be done, and those were stages, and I made these small goals, and I got there. I stayed away from the scale.
Okay.
I
Okay.
ate right, and I didn't do anything drastic.
Okay. So
And-
for you, it was more of a gradual
A
process.
gradual process, yeah.
Okay.
A natural process, too. Eating
Right.
correctly, eating clean.
Right, and that's really kind of where we're going to go to next, is because I know that there are a lot of toxins in our food, and there are, we're surrounded, we're bombarded on a daily basis by toxins in our food, by toxins in our personal care products, by toxins in our home, in our furniture, and pretty much everything that we do. Environmental toxins are everywhere. But when you think about that, a lot of those toxins, I know, are stored in fat cells. So how does that toxicity that we have in our body, how does that affect our metabolism, would you say?
Well,
Or
it-
what was your experience?
Well, it affects the metabolism. The thyroid glands are really affected. You get a lot of dysfunction, and you'll get the hypothyroidism,
Okay.
or you'll get the hyperthyroidism. What it does is, when it really attacks the glands, that's when it starts hitting your furnace, your fat burning furnace.
Okay.
Okay, so when you have that dysfunction going on, things aren't processing right, and you're not going to burn those calories.
Right.
And even if you're doing everything right, eating, exercising, you may still not be able to get rid of that belly fat because of all the toxins and the dysfunction of the thyroid, things of that nature. But yeah, it affects your metabolism, your belly fat. The belly fat gives us the indication of closer to diabetes.
Okay, like pre-diabetes.
Yes. So when I see
Okay.
someone that has the stomach, and the more fat I see around the belly, the more visceral fat that there is, that the more chance of the diabetes and heart stroke and things of that nature. But see, now when the toxins get in the body and they start to overtake, the environmental toxic trash, and we're trying to process it, it's going to go into those fat cells. One good thing about it going to the fat cells is that it stays away from the organs.
Exactly.
Okay? But yet, what it does is it increases body fat. And so, it makes it even hard because the body doesn't want to let go of that.
Right.
And it makes it that much harder.
So how would you help somebody if you meet with somebody for the first time and you discuss maybe their habits or you discuss their goals, and you see that maybe they have a few pounds to lose around the waist? How would you help that person?
Again, education. I have to know what this person is going through, what their ailments are, because that is a big factor in the equation.
Right.
And we want to get the answer to the equation, and I have to know all the facts. So it's about being honest in the beginning, honest with what's happening with you, your daily life, if you've got any physical problems that are going on, so maybe even issues you don't even want to discuss with someone.
Right.
It's like a doctor's appointment. The trainer and the doctor work together. They tell you, go exercise, and the trainer helps you get there. So again, I'm losing track here. What was the? Get me back on track here.
That's okay. No,
Go ahead.
you're perfectly on track. My question was, how would you help that? How would you help that person? So I know for you, you had this dramatic weight loss, and then you decided that you wanted then to share with other people. So
Yeah.
that's when you started helping to train other people.
I never thought I'd get into this business. I was a heavy guy who just lost a lot of weight, and then I was scared to hit the gym. I didn't even hit the gym yet. This was all alone because I didn't want people to see how heavy I was. And then got into the gym, and then the process started from there, and then it started to increase. But going back, like when someone comes to me, I want to know what's going on with them. What they're able to do, what they can't do, and then what the doctor has to say, and then we make it happen. We start. I need to know what your diet is. Have you gained or lost any weight recently? What is your diet? How much water are you drinking? You know, when was the last time you did exercise? Did you exercise back in high school? Because then those muscles have memory, and we can flex those back and get you
Right.
going. You know, so. If you've got an ailment, we can get to the muscle. If you're trying to lose that body fat, we will attack it in every which way we can. And then if we do a process, and then after, say, the first phase of 6 weeks, we're not getting the results we want, then we start finding out what in your day is really getting in the way.
Okay.
You know, is it your diet? Is it, like she was saying earlier, you know, it could be not eating comfortably. You know, rushing and going from here to there, standing up and eating, you know, I'm guilty of that. You know, going from client to client, I got to eat and then move on. But, you know, it takes a toll on you, you know. So
Right.
maybe that's the issue. The thing is, everybody is different. And we have to find out what it is. So sometimes it takes a process to get narrowed down to the root of the issue.
Right. I know for myself, you know, I've had periods in my life where I have really been quite slim, I would say. And those have also been periods of my life when I have been eating boring and also exercising a lot. And it seems to me that we're very different. Toxicity affects us differently. So for one person who may be eating exactly the same diet as I am, somebody else may be eating, you know, I may gain weight, yet they don't. And that's all kind of like our body types. So you devise specific plans for the different body types, or do you just go off of the goals that the people have?
The goals and, another factor is the body type. You know,
So if you were looking at me and you were gonna, you would ask me, okay, so what is it that your goals are? What is it that you want to do? How
Right.
fast do you want to lose the weight, or how is it just health reasons that you want, or do you have like a list of things that you go through?
Yeah, I want to know why you want to do this. You know,
Okay.
again, I've had people that come in and they wanted to lose weight because they wanted to donate an organ to a family
Oh,
member.
wow.
So that becomes an issue, and we have a deadline, and it's like, okay, so what limits do you have of your body so I can push you to a comfortable level to lose the weight without injury?
Okay.
You know, things of that nature. So I would, you know, I'd want to know any past conditions that you have. I'd want to know what you want to do, and then I know exactly how much to. So if you're a very thin person with a fast metabolism and you want to gain muscle, obviously it's going to be a much different workout than someone who is actually, you know, heavy and trying to lose weight. I'm going to have to huff and puff their heart, because the heart is the fuel burner for fat. So when that heart starts to beat, that's when we get deep into those fat tissues where the toxins are, and we got to get that stuff out of you.
Right.
You know, So depending on what you want to do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your goal is, as long as that's the biggest issue. You have a goal, great. Now we can work towards it. If you don't know what you're doing and you're just in limbo, I'm going to have a hard time keeping you interested to move to the next level.
Right. So a lot of it is willpower, and for you accomplished what you set out to do. Although maybe in the beginning you didn't set out to do that, but you accomplished that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, you know what, we're just going to have to wrap up in a few minutes. I want people to know how to get hold of you, and I see that your name and website are on the screen, and your phone number is on there. So people, maybe somebody who's struggling like Lorenzo was with a huge amount of weight and is looking to lose some, then contact him, and I'm sure that he'll have a sympathetic ear for you. And we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with our next guest. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Toxic Free Tuesday. This is the show where we find safe solutions for toxic problems. My name is Penny Campriello, and as a registered nurse and a lifestyle coach, my passion is to help people to improve their health by removing toxins from their lives. My next guest, I am really, really excited because she wears many different hats. She is a clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm really hoping that I am not going to get hypnotized while I'm on here today. And she's also a certified yoga instructor, and she has been doing that for the last 15 years. And Dorian Follansbee is going to talk to us today about ways that we can improve our health through hypnotherapy without using anything else. So welcome, Dorian. I'm
Hi.
so glad that you could join us today.
Thank you.
I guess what I need to know is, first of all, promise me that you're not going to hypnotize me while I'm sitting here.
I am not going to hypnotize you while you are sitting here.
Okay, good.
We
Okay.
usually reserve that for a private session in my office.
Okay. So what are the three most important things, or what are the most important things that I should know about hypnotherapy, or what should our viewers know about hypnotherapy?
Well, it's highly effective, but it's not a quick fix. I do have clients who they feel relief from whatever they come to me for in one session. But what they learn in my office, they must take home and implement regularly. I do not follow them around. I do not chase them around with a cattle prod or a ruler. They must use what they learn in my office, and that's very important. Let's see, another thing might be hypnotherapy is useful for a number of things.
Okay.
I'd say the three most common things that people come to me for would be anxiety or stress, goal setting, and smoking cessation, which
Okay.
completely falls in with the eliminating toxins from
Toxins.
your life.
All of those things, because stress is one of the key things in our lives
Absolutely. It's
that
an energetic
actually causes toxicity. And a lot of people don't think about that. They think about the food that we're eating, and they think about the stuff that we're surrounded with, the
Air.
air and the water, but they don't realize that toxicity in our lives actually comes from a lot of stress that we are under, and just that stress reaction causes toxicity.
Absolutely, our body's
So-
creating those hormones. We need to learn how to process those, and then we need to learn how to implement healthy ways to change our lives. The body's response, the body's stress response, is a way of telling us that something is wrong and something must change. And a lot of people pop pills and try to mask it, but we must listen to ourselves and change things at a fundamental level.
So hypnotherapy, correct me if I'm wrong, it works more on habit forming. It reprograms you so that you can create healthy habits.
Yes.
Is that kind of how it works?
Largely, we are creatures of habit, and a lot of our habits are established way back in childhood. And depending on the structure of a session, we will go back to childhood, and while we cannot change the past, we reframe how a person feels so that they stop self-sabotaging in the present. It's very simple. The process is actually very simple, very safe, and very effective.
Okay. Now, so for myself, I am a reformed smoker. That was one of the first things that I gave up about 20 years ago in my health journey, in my
Excellent.
toxic-free journey. Now, at the time, I used medication for a very short period of time. For about 6 weeks, I used medication just to get over that initial 6-week period. I don't know at this stage in my life. I try to avoid medications at all costs if I can. So I don't know that I would do it. And I think that maybe hypnotherapy would be something that I would consider. So just give me kind of a framework of how that would work if you were to be helping somebody who, say, wanted to quit smoking. How does it, is it a series of sessions? How long does it take?
Well, I also work at a pharmacy, and I'm very glad that pharmaceuticals exist. However, they should be used temporarily if possible. And so I'm very much in favor of the pill, the patch, whatever you need to do to eliminate this very strong addiction. And then, like I said before, change the fundamental habits in your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many sessions would it take? I mean, can you help somebody to quit smoking in one session?
I have.
or-
I have
Oh,
helped
wow.
people quit smoking
Okay.
in one session. Must admit that is not typical.
Okay.
I offer packages of 2 sessions, and we get to work right away. But then, I would say on average for quitting smoking, it's anywhere from 4 to 6 sessions, which is, when you think about it, a very small investment for your pocketbook and your health.
Absolutely, yeah. So what kind of things could you not treat with hypnotherapy?
Ooh, deep psychiatric or psychological illness or deep clinical depression, I would definitely recommend to a doctor.
Okay.
Because, as I said, pharmaceuticals are useful. I don't think that we should rely on them for life, if at all possible, but they are useful, hopefully temporarily. Any really strong physical ailment, like I'm not going to help somebody get rid of their cancer. I'm going to say go to a doctor.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
I actually highly recommend that my clients see a doctor beforehand to get a good framework and to rule out anything that I could not help them with. And then I will help them with the rest. Hypnotherapy is a very powerful supplement to medical care.
Okay, so under hypnotherapy, are you actually like asleep?
No.
Or
The word, the word hypnosis comes from the Greek word hypnos, meaning sleep, but that's where the similarity ends. As a matter of fact, a person in hypnosis has even more control and awareness. Usually in our everyday, we're feeling scattered. We're feeling like we're going in so many different directions all at once. Well, when I get a person into my office, I talk them through some physical relaxation, some soothing visualization, and then we carry on a conversation. And they get to completely tune out the outside world and focus on, become highly aware of the issue they came to me to work on. So it's an increased awareness. It's an increased, awareness.
Okay. So I would imagine that you really have to dig quite deep with that person emotionally, maybe, to
Oh, yeah.
understand where the habits are originally coming from. Like when you're talking about goal setting, a lot of those things are really personal. I know when I'm setting goals for myself, it's usually I have to dig pretty deep
Indeed.
and decide
Yes.
what it is that I want. So you have to get to know that person pretty good before you
Yes.
can work with them.
Yes, we usually speak a little bit on the phone beforehand.
Okay.
And then I'd say more than half the time, a person will cry on my couch. Just warning you. I keep a big box of tissues there. However, every single session is completely confidential. And as a matter of fact, I love my clients. But if I see you on the street, I do not acknowledge you unless you acknowledge me first, because I believe 100% in client confidentiality.
Okay.
So,
So before we finish, how can hypnotherapy help us to live cleaner?
well, in addition to releasing the habit of smoking, People come to me to help get on track for weight loss goals, eating better, exercising more. They come to me with the desire to already want to live healthier and cleaner. And what I do is I help them clarify and simplify their goals to help them, in a way, slowly eliminate the things that sidetrack them. Yeah.
Right. Wow. So how can people get hold of you?
Oh, what?
I see what we have on the screen
Should
here.
be on
we
the screen
have,
there.
Oh, we have you on Facebook?
Yep.
Okay.
Dorian
Is that the best way
Follansbee.
that people can get hold of you?
That is my only online presence.
Okay.
I am Dorian Follansbee, spiritual counselor, and I believe my other information ought to be up there too. Email, phone.
Why don't you just give us your email address?
It's my name, DORIAN dot Follansbee, that's on the screen, at gmail.com.
Okay, wonderful. And I just want to let you all know that Dorian's video, as well as Lorenzo's and Michelle's, from everybody from my show today, will be on my website, Toxic Free Journey. You'll also be able to find them on Facebook. And please don't hesitate to contact us. If you can't get hold of my guests, then please get hold of me if you have any questions at all for them. Toxic Free Tuesday is all about paying it forward and helping other people. And so anytime that we can find a way to live healthier without harmful toxins in our lives, then that's what we're all about. So thank you so much for joining us today,
so much.
Dorian.
Good to see you,
I'm
Penny.
really excited that you came. And next week we will be talking about meditation. And we'll be talking about the benefits of therapeutic massage for release of toxins, and also the benefits of stress relief and travel. So join us next Tuesday at 2 o'clock live on centralvalleytalk.com for a Toxic Free Tuesday. And thank you for joining us today.
CentralValleyTalk.com